Welcome, guys, to Time with Steven. And it's your boy, man, Stevo, and I the rep Denmark, the second happiest country in the whole wide world, saying, yes, guys, this is the moment you all been waiting for. I promised you I was going to bring an immigration expert in Denmark here to show us the way because more guys are hitting me up. Steven, show us the way, show us the way. Guys, no problem. Today, we are so privileged to have Mr. Anne Divine, one of the few immigration experts in Denmark here with a track record. Guys, he has helped a lot of guys with their residency issues and a whole lot of issues here in Denmark here. He's one of the few immigration experts with an African background. So guys, I'm not going to waste your time. This is the moment you've been waiting for. He is here with us to answer most of your questions. Mr. Anne Divine, you're welcome to Time with Steven.
Yeah, thank you for, very much. They call you Steve also?
Yes, Steve.
Okay, that's it. So, I mean, just to be in a lighter mood, also, as I do now, I can see I had some pigeon and stuff. Yeah. So, I'm from Cameroon, and I studied law in Cameroon. I moved to Europe more than 18 years ago. Yeah, same spirit like after school in Africa, what do you do if you can't get the right jobs in Africa? And then sometimes I also think we are very choosy. Then we think the solution is coming abroad. So that's how I also came abroad in 2001, I think. It's a long time. So I studied law at the Stockholm University, law and information technology, something that sounded interesting. Then I moved to Lund University. I studied the European Union law, also very interesting. Then I moved to Denmark, so I can feel the way you feel, because then we want to survive, so we keep on moving like nomads. Then I've settled in Denmark for a long time, and 8 years ago, I've had the opportunity to work as an immigration expert. And the beginning was like I had immigration issues. I went to a Danish immigration lawyer. We solved the problem together, and he said, "Oh, you look very smart. What qualification do you have?" And I said, "I have degrees in law and these." And he's like, "Wow, you have too many degrees in law. You are even more qualified like me. No, sorry, more qualified than me. So why don't you get a space in the office and see if it's something for you?" So to cut a long story short, it was an opportunity, but I made great use of that opportunity. And I've been in the immigration area for 8 years and counting now. So I'm like thinking, I don't have anything to prove. When it comes to immigration in Denmark, I've seen it all. I've done all types of cases. So we're even thinking to like expand our expertise, to be more international, but focus on Denmark also. So anything immigration related to Denmark, I'm the right person. I've had all types of cases you can imagine. And like the boy Stevo is saying, we have had many successful cases. But that shouldn't be something to deceive you like, so I'm a magician. If I handle your case, then you're guaranteed that you'll succeed. I would never say that, because our profession is an ethical profession. We are professionals because we give people professional services, and we assist them so that they have the best chances possible to succeed. But if anyone gives you a guarantee that if you pay money, you will succeed and you will travel abroad, it's a scam. We always do some kind of profile check. We do some kind of assessment through a consultation, and then we can tell you what is good for you. Or if what you want to try to achieve, like the purpose for coming to Europe, if it makes sense, we can tell you also it makes sense. But then some things are so stupid that will tell you that it doesn't make any sense. I'll also take this opportunity to advise. Some of you are like my junior brother. Some of you can even be like my sons and daughters. So please, we are tired of seeing people dying in the Mediterranean Sea trying to come to Europe. We are tired of the new trend, seeing people going through the jungle in Mexico and some of them dying there just because they want to travel abroad. I don't think it's worth it. To travel abroad is good, but even all those people, wherever you go, be it in Europe, in the US, the beginning is always very tough. Many people even regret leaving the things they had back home to travel abroad. So, our advice is if you have to travel abroad, you need to use a you need to have a genuine purpose, not like some kind of adventure that you think because there's money in Europe and in the US, so you just need to get there and harvest your share. It doesn't work like that. So the people who are making a lot of noise on social media and stuff, some of them are just deceiving you. Some of them have gone through a lot, but also many are silent. People don't talk about those who don't say anything. They are going through hell. So I tell some people back in Africa, if you don't have war in the area where you come from, if things get that bad, everyone has a family home to return to. In Europe, there's nothing like that. In the US, there's nothing like that. When things go bad, you're on the streets. And if you don't have the valid documents, you can find yourself back in Africa. So please, young guys and ladies, if you want to travel abroad, you must have a genuine purpose and you should have some idea of where you're going to, what you expect, and what you're going to do there. In a nutshell, you need to have a plan. Don't just say, I want to travel abroad. I'm not saying coming abroad is not good, of course, but it's tough. Some people make it, but don't think that is everybody. Many people don't make it. Those who come through dubious means or like just adventurous means, some of them, I know I've been in Europe for more than 20 years with nothing to show. They don't have anything. But the issue is, how do we go back? How do you go back to Africa? You don't know what you tell the people in Africa. You know, it's difficult to say what you have been doing in Europe even for 5 years or in the US. So some people are trapped. And once in a while, they come up on social media to show flashy things. But we are here, we know the reality. So many people are having a hard time here. So I also want to use this opportunity to say, I'm also from Africa. I go to Africa regularly. I know it's tough, but I think this generation, they're exaggerating. I know maybe some people will insult me for this, but trust me, there are many, many opportunities in Africa. Africa is like a virgin territory. The Chinese are coming to Africa. The Indians and the Pakistanis are coming. The Arabs are moving downwards to Black Africa, while Black Africans are trying to move northwards. And all these communities I'm talking about, just check. All the Lebanese, they are rich people. The Chinese, they are rich people. In Africa, the Arabs, they are rich people. So what is wrong? There's something wrong. So, but when I look at my diagnosis, it's like many young people want to choose. Because we go to school a lot in Africa, and many people think if I don't have an office job where I can put on my suit and stuff, then it's hell in Africa. But you can start some kind of farming, you can have some kind of, you can rear chicken, you can rear snails. Those things are huge businesses, and the technology is there. So I'm not saying that, some young people are doing the comedy. Some, like my brother Stephen, my young man Stephen is in Europe, but he's having a show. You can do a show while in Europe, you can do a show while in Africa. You can do comedy, you can play music. You don't just need to be frustrated like nothing is happening. These days, the technology and the possibilities are there to try so many things. So don't just sit and like be a crybaby like, oh, Nigeria is so terrible, Ghana is so terrible, Cameroon is so terrible. But you see people close to you making lots of money. So my position is that there are opportunities in Africa, lots of them. You can go to YouTube, you can learn anything you want to learn. But also, traveling abroad is something that is nice. But let it not blur your vision like, if I don't travel abroad, I won't succeed. If you can make it in Africa, or do your best because that's your home, do your best to make it in Africa. If you want to travel abroad, you need to get a genuine plan, a good plan, a genuine purpose. Don't just come to abroad like that. And nowadays, in almost all the countries, the right-wing politics. So when you talk about right-wing politics, like one of the things you have in right-wing politics is like anti-immigration politics. So they are almost like shutting the doors. Many doors that used to be open many years ago, they are shutting them down. So you can come to Europe or you go to the US or whatever, and you stay without a document or what Nigerians call quali or whatever forever. It's not a nice place to be. Yeah.
Okay, so being in this field for 8 years and counting, we would like to know, what is your area of expertise? Because immigration is quite broad. So we would like to know, what's your area of expertise when it comes to immigration issues?
Yeah, so like you said, immigration is quite broad, and also it has its specificities depending on some kind of region. Like you have the EU, but within the EU you have EU countries. Then you have the US, and then you have Canada, and then you have the UK. So immigration is huge. But the one common element is that people want to move from their home countries, and in most cases the trend is to move to a Western country. So it's the EU countries, UK, Canada, US. That is the trend. So, but and immigration in general, for immigration in general, there are many, many similarities. But I've been an expert in Denmark for like 8 years, and also because of my background in European Union law, I have a very good mastery of the European immigration politics. So it's something different. Like there are some immigration things for the whole of Europe, like you have a Schengen visa. For many EU countries, you come to one country, you can move to many different countries for 90 days and stuff. So the immigration rules in many EU countries are very similar. So I'm competent to work on immigration issues in almost every EU country because in my judgment, like 60% of the rules are very similar because they have one common source. So the EU binds the countries to respect some basic norms. So you can have small varieties in different countries, but then in each of these EU countries, you have similar things. So I'll start. Family reunification. So family reunification is one person who is a family, who has his family like out of, who is in one EU country. Let's take Denmark, for example. So somebody is in Denmark, he has some kind of residence. So I don't want, even the family unification has many parts.
Okay.
Because you can be a student, you want to bring your family members, it's a different thing. You can have a work permit, you can have permanent residence, you can even be a citizen. You can be an EU citizen who has moved to another country. So all these categories, they can do family unification in many different forms.
Okay.
So we don't have time for me to specify like, what
Yeah.
about family unification under EU, family unification for students, family. So I'm just saying there's a possibility for family members to join their family members who are in Europe. Every EU or European country even, including the UK, they have policies for this. Like you can bring your family, so family members in most cases will mean your partner, your husband or wife, and then your minor children. In some exceptional cases, it's possible to bring your children who are above 18. But in the norm is that the person who is settled in Europe, in an EU country, Denmark, for example, in principle, has the right to bring his spouse and his children.
Okay.
So, like I said, so you can be a student, you can be a citizen, you can be a citizen from another EU country, you can be working. So you have a settled, you have some kind of residence. Then you can bring your family members. That's one. And then, so for you who is not here, you want to start from scratch, like you don't have any family member,
Yeah.
then I would say the best option is studies. Like you have more chances if you have at least um, a higher upper secondary school certificate. You can come for an undergraduate program. But I will recommend master degree programs because they are more flexible and they are more trustworthy. So like they know somebody coming from for a master's degree program, you know, you're more stable, you're more focused and stuff. So all the countries, they have programs in English. I don't think there's a country where you don't have programs in English. So, but the key is like, because you have master degree programs in English, it doesn't mean that you just walk in and get the admission. It's a process. And one of the greatest things is to have good score in the English proficiency exams like IELTS and TOEFL and stuff. But many of us from English-speaking countries in Africa, we have been studying in English from kindergarten,
Yeah.
but we cannot pass the IELTS exam with the required scores. That's the problem.
Yeah.
If you want to travel abroad as a student, the key number one is good scores in IELTS. So that should be a focus. Like, before you even start thinking of it,
Yeah.
you know you are ready to get good scores in IELTS.
Okay.
Without that, your chances are limited. So, but if you have good scores, many doors are open. So we can assist with some of these processes, but we are giving these tips. Like, at least you should have good scores in IELTS. You have a degree or um, upper secondary school certificate. And then there are options. There are lots of options. Of course, in many countries they can pay fees, but in some countries they can pay fees, but you can generate the income to pay your fees. In some countries the fees are so low that maybe you can get sponsored by your family and friends and stuff. But then I would say for the young people, the easiest thing is to come as a student.
As a student.
And in Denmark, for example, you can bring your spouse.
Okay.
So if you come to Denmark as a student and you're married, your spouse, husband and wife can join.
Wow.
And they have the right to work full time.
Wow.
And even then, Denmark, because of the scarcity of skilled workers, they want to entice students to come because they can be for a long time and maybe they will, be part of the job market. So for a master's degree program in Denmark, trust me, they give you 5 years upfront, 5 years residence. Of course, if you come to Denmark and you're not serious with the school, they can revoke it. But they give you 5 years upfront. It's a good starting point. If you have 5 years and your spouse can join you, for example, I think if you make a good plan for yourself, you can have some kind of success abroad. So, number one, I think for many young people who have been to who have degrees and those who have at least the upper secondary school certificates like the GCA level and stuff, baccalaureate in some cases, yeah, they have opportunities to come as students. But also, I would recommend that you target your education. Don't just come to Europe to study anything that feels. Everybody knows the IT-related things will always, you know, they make you more employable. But then AI is there. AI is so smart. Young people engage themselves into AI-related things. You have marketing, accounting, so not history and geography and psychology and stuff like that. So if you want to study, target something that can be employable. Well, if you don't have the opportunity to get into that kind of a program, you can still take something, but then build your CV. Because out here, white collar jobs, they don't care about your degrees. So you can come here as somebody studying masters in history, but you're so good in AI already. Maybe you get a job in the AI sector. So use your time to learn lots of practical skills. So let me just continue with the trend so I answer his question.
Yeah.
So I'm recommending studies for those who want to move abroad in a genuine and smooth way, like number one. But then for those who are like graduate nurses, I have to specify graduate nurses. It means you don't just have an HND or a diploma in nursing. You have a university degree. In most cases, at least 3.5 years or 4 years of nursing education. They have huge, huge chances all over the world. The US, the UK, Canada, Europe, Denmark. Yeah, so when I say Europe, I'm always including Denmark, Germany, Switzerland, everywhere. There's a huge shortage of nurses. So we actually have a platform and a process going on to assist nurses to relocate. But then it doesn't mean that, some people say, okay, I want you to look for a nursing job for me in Denmark. It doesn't work like that. It's a process. You can get the residence permit to move to Denmark, for example, but you also have to go through a process to get authorization to practice as a nurse. And it's the same for all other countries. You need to go through a process. So The basic requirement that you have in most countries is like your nursing degree has to be recognized. That's the first step. In UK, US, Canada, Denmark, Germany, your nursing degree has to be recognized. Then, in many other cases also, they have some kind of nursing board exams. In the UK, in the US, in Canada, you have to go through some nursing board exams. And in a country like the UK, and even for the US, when you know the right processes, the first part of the exams can be done from your home country. And in the UK, for example, if you pass the first part of the exam, then you can get sponsors, like sponsors who will pay for your flight ticket, get a house for you in the UK, prepare you for the second part of the exam because nurses are like hot cake. So, but then you understand me that. So when I say talk about nursing, it doesn't mean you have a nursing degree, then tomorrow you succeed. You have to work for it.
Yeah.
So we are also building a platform to assist the nurses back home, like you're in Ghana, Nigeria. So you can contact us even, for more information subsequently about this. So we are assisting nurses for processes like this. So then, to be specific for Denmark, if you get your documents recognized, your nursing degree. It's a process that we also assist people with. And then you can get 3 years residence in Denmark, with your spouse and your minor children. Your spouse has the right to work full time. And Steve is here in Denmark, there are lots of small jobs to survive, and the pay is really good.
Yeah.
So if you come with your spouse, for example, he has 3 years residence, you have 3 years to go through the authorization process. It's doable. It's very, very doable. And we are also like assisting with the process because we understand how it works. So for Denmark, some things you have to be learning while you're at home because when you come here, it will be very tough because then there will be too much pressure. So if you are a nurse, for example, you can be refreshing your knowledge on nursing because here it's not like in Africa. Everything is so professional and so high level. So part of what we will help people to do is like help you to upgrade your theoretical knowledge so you can adapt when you move here faster. In the UK, US, whatever country you're moving to, Germany, the local language will always be a requirement,
Okay.
at least high level. So many people think, okay, I speak English, so the UK is for me. No, they still check if the level is good enough. So even if English is your, main professional language, you need to be top notch. And also, Germany, then you need to be good in German. Denmark, you need to be. So for Denmark, for example, for now, we are working to have a system where people can start learning Danish from abroad. I know Denmark is a small country.
Yeah.
Maybe the language is unknown. But then if you are moving to Denmark and you have some pre-knowledge, before moving to Denmark, trust me, you'll be very good. And the nursing job in Denmark and many other countries is something else. You will never lack a job. You will never lack extra jobs. So your time is your limit. So these are the things that we expect young people to focus on. So if you are a qualified nurse, degree graduate nurse, you have lots of chances. Like it's a special niche, different from many other possibilities. Then I would not really recommend people moving to Europe with a plan to seek for asylum. Yeah, because it's a gamble. I've heard so many stories and you can see problems all over the world. They think they cannot have everybody who has problems. So if you're moving to Europe with a plan like I'll seek for asylum, I don't think it's a good idea. Unless you're a really top-notch, rebel or something. No. They see you, everybody knows about your case. Maybe you're related to some kind of Biafra kind of issue in Nigeria or something. And you are out there, everybody can see that you risk to be killed or persecuted if they send you back to your home country. Then you have some chances. But an ordinary guy on the street just saying, when I come to Europe, I will say, like, I have problems in my country and stuff like that, the chances are very small. So I'm not saying you cannot seek for asylum, but don't count on it. Don't count. That should not be like your main plan.
Yeah.
If you come to Europe also somehow and you get married, depending on the rules in the country, it can be possible to have residence. If you have a child or children in Europe also, it can be helpful. So I'm just giving a general perspective. So even for those who are in Europe who are like, you know, on the ground and stuff like that, if you have a child, maybe, or you already have one, in whatever country you are, there are ways to get into the system because there's something in law they refer to as the best interest of the child. His, in the best interest of the child should have, good access to both parents. And Europe in particular is a countries in the EU respect international rules and human rights, a lot. So there are lots of openings in that area. So then we have a possibility for work permits, but the chances are very small. And you can, if for those who follow the news, then you will see that unscrupulous people exploited the openings in the UK after the Brexit for some work permits, like care workers. So unskilled people in Africa can have the possibility to go to the UK as skilled workers. So people create companies to come back to many countries in Africa, ask people for huge sums of money in exchange for employment in the UK, because then the policy there allows some companies to act as sponsors. So a sponsor is like, I offer you a job, I can take care of you if you move to the UK. But then they ask for a lot of money. Their agents in Africa ask for a lot of money. And because people are desperate and it looks so magical, then people do everything to pay. They sell everything they have, including a family home with a family, dreaming that when this person succeeds, all of us will be fine. So it's something I warn against also. Don't put your family into jeopardy because you want to travel abroad. Try to generate the funds yourself. Or try and see if they can help you financially. But when you get into your family property, the real estate that maybe your great grandparents left, you sell it like peanuts, for peanuts, lower than the value because you are desperate, because you want to travel abroad. I'm advising you, don't do that. It's a terrible risk. Some people can succeed, but those who fail will never tell the story. They're crying, and the family members are crying, but they will stay silent. But those who succeed will be there on social media. So we are on the field, we know what is happening. We don't advise you to do something like that. You can try to generate your funds, If you try, you don't succeed, no terrible harm. You're alive, you're young, you can try again. But when you use your family property to get some kind of collateral, it's a damage for the family forever if you don't succeed. So, yeah, you can travel abroad, but please don't use desperate approaches. So I was talking about this work thing, and I'm quoting the UK because then many people have been scammed. Some of them don't even know how to get back to their families. So when you pay the company agents a huge sum of money, they go through the right process with the embassies, and they get you a residence in the UK to work in their care facilities, for example. But once you're there after 3 years, 3 months or so, the company goes bankrupt. So when a company goes bankrupt, it means they cannot pay their workers, they cannot pay their bills, so they shut down. So then, after 3 months, you are unemployed in the UK, for example, and you have a short time to look for another job, or they will cancel your residence. So as we speak, there are many people who move to the UK with, a lot of fanfare, like this person moved with his wife and his kids, and they go to work in the UK, but suddenly they are silent because people don't know what is happening. So many of them have gone underground. So people who promise magical solutions to you in exchange for a huge sum of money is very risky. Very, very risky. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, you've heard it for yourself. The best route to travel now it is through education, you know. But Mr. Ann Divine, what about the hustlers back home? Like, I'm talking about the youth with no
Yeah,
hopes.
yeah,
They feel Africa, the system is not really
yeah.
working. You know, they don't have any prospects in Africa. For someone who had just completed, let's say, the highest education the person has had in Africa is the secondary school education. That is the only education the person has had. What advice will you give to such a person?
So, I'm not saying that people like that cannot travel abroad,
Okay,
but then the route is not to go through the
Mediterranean.
Mediterranean Sea
No.
and drown in the sea, or going through the US, all those dangerous routes that people are taking. I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
If you are genuinely running from war, I can understand. But poverty, to me, is a relative term because many people are poor out of ignorance. So, in the same area where many people are saying things are not working, we know about the corruption and stuff in Africa. We
Yeah.
know that, top civil servants, they embezzle all of the money. But to be honest with you, every time I go to Africa, I'm like, what kind of place is this where it's so easy to do anything? Anything you want to do, nobody is disturbing you. So people complain about corruption, maybe they complain about taxes, they complain about the government not helping and stuff. I'm just laughing. Because in Europe, you cannot just get up in the morning and, this thing they call puff puff in Africa, for example, yeah?
Yeah.
You cannot just get up and in front of your
No.
house, you start, selling puff puff.
No.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Who stopped you in Africa from doing that? For example, you want to do whatever, rape, poultry, you want to be a mechanic, you open a barber shop. There's so many things that people can do. And there's so many things, you don't even need a huge capital. But guess what? I know what the problem is because I've also been a youth in Cameroon and in Africa. So part of my time, I spent like 1 year or so in Nigeria many years ago. So I know about, I know the mentality. The thing is, people want to choose what they want to do. They want some kind of flashy kind of source of income. So that's why young people they can be scammers because people who are like the Yahoo boys and stuff, they're like superstars. But how long do they last? Sooner or later they get arrested
Yeah.
and then everything is gone. So if you tell somebody, maybe you go through the garbage bins and try to collect organic material, so something that can get rotten, so you can make like um, organic fertilizer, or we call manure in some places. Like, it's a huge business. But trust me, 99% of the youth, they cannot do that because it's like a dirty job. Who should be going to the garbage like a madman to go and pick up? But those who dare to do it, they make it. So, like, at some point in my country, there were young guys. No, not even young guys. People move from other countries to Cameroon, moving around, just repairing people's clothes. Like, you don't have a button, you don't have a zip, and shoes. Those guys became millionaires in less than no time. We saw them laughing at them. In Cameroon, they used to call the guys from Niger kokok because they had a big box. Walking on the street, they hit the
Yeah.
boxes, and like everybody knows the shoe repairer is.
Yeah.
But just imagine a city like Lagos. When will you ever be able to repair all the shoes in Lagos? So these guys, they saw it. They moved from somewhere up north. They came down to us proud people who cannot do dirty jobs. And they did the dirty jobs, and they're making a lot of money. And trust me, when you come to Europe, you will even do worse things. Don't think that the people doing those things, coming to Africa and like, showing some kind of flashy lifestyle, they don't tell you what they do. Yeah. I've washed dishes in Europe. I've washed dishes like in a restaurant. I've worked in the farm. I've done cleaning. I've done some type of things I don't think the young people in Africa, if they have the opportunity to do those type of jobs in Africa, they will say this is not for me. So even sometimes I try to communicate with the young people like, can you not try to rear snails or something? oh, grass cutters, oh, start a poultry. They say, no, 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 that's not my level. Yeah, but it's not your level. When you come to Europe, even that is a super high thing. You will not have the opportunity to do something like that. If you are doing it, you will be working for somebody. But in your home country, you have all the opportunities. Maybe want to choose. So for those like the ones you are referring to who
Yeah.
have the technical background, not a very high level of education, to me they are even the heroes. I was in
Okay.
my home country this time last year, and I could see all the guys with technical backgrounds. They were doing fine because they had things to do. And technicians now are so expensive. All the graduates from the universities, they put on their suits, they speak, grammar all over the place. If they're lucky, they're teaching in a private school for peanuts, just because they think, because I'm a graduate, I cannot do this. I cannot be a tailor. I cannot have a barbing shop. I cannot work in a building on a construction site and stuff like that. That is the problem. When you take away that complex, suddenly you realize that Africa is instead the place to be. So, like I said in the beginning, you can complain to me when you also write down the things you have tried. If you have not tried anything, you don't have any complaint. Because there are huge, huge unexploited opportunities in Africa. In the city in Cameroon where I was during the time I spent my holidays, by 5 o'clock, you cannot buy food anywhere. In all the restaurants, the food, you know, everything was finished. I'm like, come on, 5 o'clock. They open 12 by 5, no food. You have to wait again like 7 when they start having roasted fish and stuff. I'm like, so it means they can still have more than 50 new restaurants here, it won't
Yeah.
change anything. But when you talk to young people, can I even help you to start a restaurant? They say that is not my level. So that's my point, that many people are choosy. But then, if you want to travel abroad, like somebody who is, because I think if you have a skill and you're making money in Africa, this abroad thing will be like, I don't need it, I have my money. But if you really want, then for people like that, their chances will be maybe family unification. Maybe you can sponsor your wife or your husband who went to school, for example, and then you accompany the person as like a family member.
Remember. Yeah.
Because when I look at people like that, or maybe you can try your best to get a spouse from abroad in one of the countries, it's possible. And then you get married. So in a nutshell, for people like that, their chances will be huge under some form of family unification.
Oh, okay.
So I mentioned many things like any person with some kind of residence here
Yeah.
can bring other people, you understand?
Yeah.
So for people like that, and there are many cases. So because these people, they are even good hustlers. So somebody is a nurse, for example. She is coming and she gets married to somebody who is not so educated. It's not a problem. Like because you have a master's, your husband or wife. No, no. Love is something different. So when they move here, is the person who is the hustler. And hustling here in Denmark, for example, you don't even know the difference. When you hustle, you can even be making money like engineers. So that person is hustling, not so educated, hustling, working in the warehouses and working in the restaurants, doing cleaning jobs. The salary is good. Then taking care of the wife who is trying to qualify as a nurse or who is a student,
Yeah.
for example. And then at the end of the day, they make good families. We have cases here like that. So when you're in that kind of situation, don't just use all of, because then these people you're talking about, they're the people who have more money.
Yeah.
Because they hustle. Those who have graduated from the university, they're only moving around like, this is not my level, that is not
Yeah.
my level. How can I do this? How can I do that? So, for example, the ladies in this category, they have hair salons. Some of the boys, they have barbing shops. He knows if they tell you how much it costs to do those things out there, then people will drop off from schools to go and learn skills like, hairdresser or just have a barbing shop. It costs a lot of money to have one hair shave here. If you come here with that kind of skill, you will never lack money. You come here with, manicure, pedicure, some things that we ignore back in Africa.
Yeah.
Those skills are like, jackpot out here. So even driving. So many people, That sitting in Africa, they think like I can never buy a car, so, and I don't want to be a taxi driver, so why should I learn driving? Then you're planning to travel abroad. No, 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 no. If you travel abroad with the skills as a driver, many doors will open. So, in a summarily, I want to say, forget. No, I'm not saying forget. Yes, you have your degrees from the university and stuff, or you don't have, whatever. If your dream is to come to Europe or America, learn as many skills as possible. You will not regret it. But also,
Yes.
it's possible to use those skills back in Africa and make a lot of money. Go to
Okay.
YouTube. Anything you want to know is there.
Guys, Mr. Ann Divine is quite a busy man, and we are so grateful for him taking time off his busy schedule, to join us. Today, we are just we are just talking in general terms, we are not really delving deep down, into specific matters. But he shared nuggets of wisdom with all of you out there. The smart ones I know are going to pick all these nuggets and start working out with it. Mr. Ann Divine, we are so grateful for your time. Before we part ways, is it possible our viewers can reach out to you if they have specific matters?
Yeah, anyway, we have a public Facebook page. We have 7,000 followers and stuff. So we do our best to respond to questions.
Yeah.
So maybe he will post the link in the video.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's immigration law experts in Denmark. Once you start searching on Facebook, it will pop up.
Okay.
If you search immigration in Denmark, then you see we are top of the hit list. Then you get to our Facebook page, then you can have more information to contact us. But we are working on some things for people like you, like solutions, like answers to lots of your queries.
Yeah.
But then, before we stop, I'll still say, it's not because I work as an immigration expert that I think that everybody has to travel abroad.
Yeah.
We are still encouraging people to try stuff back home.
Okay.
Because then, yeah, home is home. Yeah, I am here, but I have limits because this is not my home. I would have been happier, to have evolved in my home country and, have the freedom as it's my home. Home is home. So, but maybe it's too late for me. And also during our time, I didn't know. That's another point. Like, you are saying this, now you are abroad. So why don't you come back home and do the things you're talking about? Yeah, that's true. But I'm stuck. Family, children, grown up here, and I'm not getting any younger. It's difficult for me to start work. But I can advise the younger people from my experience.
Guys, I'll be linking his contact details and social media handles, everything in the description of this video. So if you have any questions or you want to reach out, kindly check in the description below. Guys, join us on the next one soon. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, and you're doing a good job. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.